On the Road with Kelly and Bob is brought to you by Mueller Metal Roofs and Buildings. Made in America, made to last. Coming up on this episode...
Well, we like to say that we sell everything from water pipe to Waterford crystal, and we do.
Hi, we're Kelly
and Bob Phillips, and we're on the perpetual road trip of America's back roads,
where the journey is always the destination.
And thanks for joining us for this episode of On the Road with Kelly and Bob. You know, when you constantly travel the back roads of America like we do, one of the questions that comes up a lot is what?
What's the favorite place you've ever visited?
We hear it all the time.
Fact is, we don't have an answer for that because it's all different.
Yeah.
And a favorite place usually goes back to what you were expecting or
what you were looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do, however, have several places that we are very fond of, places that we like to go back to whenever we get a chance.
And one of those places is Natchitoches, Louisiana. It's charming. It's kind of got that old world feel.
Yeah, and the historical preservation people there I'm very impressed with because they've always been mindful of keeping the town's charm and not giving in to modern trends.
One great example of that is called the Kaffie Frederick General Mercantile.
Travels down America's back roads take us to some interesting places, to say the least. We've been to towns that even residents of the same state tell us they've never heard of.
But sometimes our travels do more than take us to a place. They take us to a different time. And that's just what happened on our trip to Natchitoches, Louisiana.
Just pronouncing the name of this place is a challenge. It looks like, I don't know, Natchitoches, a pronunciation that often gets it confused with Nacogdoches, Texas. But locals pronounce the name of their town Natchitoches, and that's just the beginning of the charm of this place.
Founded in 1714, this is the oldest settlement in the entire Louisiana Purchase. And Natchitoches looks like a tiny European village with quaint homes and businesses scattered throughout.
And right over there, in the middle of the block, on Front Street, overlooking the Cane River, sits the Kaffie Frederick General Mercantile Store, the oldest of its kind in all of Louisiana. And it still looks just like it did in the 1800s.
There were two generations of Kaffies. The first generation, of course, was the founders. The second generation were first cousins. One of them, Harold, was more interested in banking, so he moved down the street and was president of the bank for 40 plus years. And the other cousin, Sidney, stayed here in the retail business. Mr. Sidney was never married. He basically took my grandfather, taught him the ropes of retail. My grandfather was, he was a man of the streets. Mr. Kaffie was extremely wealthy, and between the two of them, they made a pretty good business combination.
Are you ever just fascinated by the idea that your grandfather went from a floor sweeper to having this business?
It's the American dream.
It is.
You work hard, you put in your time, a lot of time. He worked from 1920 to 1994.
And now, Titus Frederick's grandchildren, Luke and Lori Frederick, and Luke's brother Sidney, operate this General Mercantile. They are members of the third generation of the Frederick family to run this place. And though they have modernized the inventory, it still has a lot of the old hardware that was here back in the day.
As you look around, you'll see hanging on the wall, there's a wagon axle, single trees and double trees for wagon hookups.
Don't get a lot of call for those anymore.
Not anymore, but when cars came along in the 20s and 30s, our wagon axle sales kind of
Plummeted.
Drifted off, and we still have quite a bit of inventory for things like that. But by and large, most of what we have is pretty current. But you know, the old regulars like nails and pipes and screws and bolts and you know, plumbing fittings. That, you know, some of the things we sell today, we were selling at the turn of the century.
I can get a hinge pin in here?
You can. Multiple sizes.
Maybe a clevis?
We could hook you up with several sizes of that as well.
Yeah, you know some people out there in radio land are getting their dictionary and looking
Exactly.
it up to find out what those
no
things
idea.
are.
Exactly.
Yeah. And no matter what you buy here at Kaffie Frederick General Mercantile, your purchase will probably be rung up on their original 1917 hand-cranked cash register. We asked, what happens when that old register breaks down? We don't know, they said. It never has.
We did not and have not ever set out to be a tourist attraction. It's just kind of evolved into that. And we are very, very thankful for our tourists, but our locals are our meat and potatoes.
Back in 1989, they made the now classic movie Steel Magnolias here in Natchitoches. If this town wasn't already on the map before that, it certainly was after Julia Roberts, Sally Field, Shirley MacLaine, Dolly Parton, and the rest of the all-star cast paid an extended visit. It was about that time that Luke and Lori Frederick came in to help Luke's father and grandfather with this family business.
And now, more than 30 years later, that generation of Fredericks is ready to take a step back. Not to worry, because Luke and Lori's son, Jonathan, has joined the staff and will soon be the fourth generation of Fredericks to run this beloved store and landmark.
If these walls could talk, what would they say?
Well, I guess we'd have to pull up a chair and sit down and just listen to them. I'm sure that they've seen and heard stories and instances and experiences that, you know, would be of interest to all of us. I have employees that have been here in excess of 20, 30 years.
That says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. And
About them and you.
well, it says a lot about them, and that loyalty also is a great part of our recipe for success. My son has also come back to Natchitoches, and he is learning the ins and outs, and my brother and I are each approaching 60, so it's time to start thinking about passing the torch.
And while we were at Kaffie Frederick General Mercantile, we got to see even more and even meet some of their customers.
The store's only been updated one time in 1932 in hopes that if they survived the Depression, we would have the most modern facility in North Louisiana to operate out of. And obviously we survived, but my grandfather took all these and built all these islands that the merchandise is displayed on. Originally, everything was in cases, and you would ask for what you wanted, and the clerk would get it out of the case. And then as retailing evolved, it became more desirable for the customer to be able to touch before they bought it. That is how these islands came to be. Hey, girls. Hey. How are y'all doing?
It's been a while
We're
since
on.
Hey, Miss Linda. It is.
You're going to get a twofer today.
Yep. How are y'all?
Oh, we're doing great.
We've got some good people from Texas that are
We're doing a radio show.
they're doing a radio show for us.
How long have y'all been coming in here?
I've been coming since 66. She's been coming since 66.
64.
Oh, that's right, because I was just a college student.
Have you ever come in here looking for something and they didn't have it?
No.
Nope.
I come in here looking for something and found a lot of other stuff.
I did too.
That's kind of the idea, you know.
Yes, it is.
I know. But that's all right. It's the best store to buy
Why do you like it?
because they know me and they call me by name. Even though I hadn't been in here in about a year, they still remember my name.
I mentioned earlier you have to constantly evolve, and that's what this is a continued evolution to the store. At some point, you just can't survive just selling nails and plumbing. So we've expanded, obviously. We've only had this for about 25 years.
Oh, so this is the new edition.
This is the new expansion. That wall comes down in September of each year, and we have a Christmas department. My wife does a Christmas department. Floor to ceiling, wall to wall. Christmas.
And Christmas is definitely a time to go to Natchitoches.
We want to thank the folks at Mueller Metal Roofs and Buildings for sponsoring this program, even before it was a program. And we want to thank you for joining us here every week.
And a quick reminder that if you haven't already downloaded the Odyssey app, it is free and you can listen to us anytime, anywhere.
Thanks for traveling with us on the road with Kelly and Bob.